On Acoustic Tuesday, episode number 90, I'm going to do a guitar review, tell you about a musical murder mystery podcast that you absolutely must hear, plus you're going to learn who finished first between Noah and I on the annual Highlight Hill Climb Run, which is 8 miles uphill. And there's actually quite a heroic story involved. You're going to find that out right after this. I'm Tony Polecastro, and this is the Acoustic Tuesday Show. Guitar geeks, unite. Welcome to Acoustic Tuesday, episode number 90. This is the show where you're going to learn about acoustic guitar gear, discover acoustic artists, and get inspired to live your very best acoustic life. As with all episodes of Acoustic Tuesday, I'm going to share with you my guitar geek list for the week. And this week, what tops the list is this particular guitar. I'm going to do a guitar review on the Andrew White Freya 2002J. This is part of their production series, and I got to be honest with you, I've never really heard much about Andrew White guitars. In fact, I guess I've seen the name bounce around a little bit, but I've never had a chance to do an in-hand review or have an in-hand experience with any of the guitars. And upon some digging, and I promise I'll get to this guitar here in a second, but upon digging, I found out that Andrew White is quite the prolific luthier. I think he got his start in the late 90s, and just to give you a sense of what he makes on the way high-end super custom line, let's have a quick look at this video that I found that kind of shares a little bit about who Andrew White is.
Well, my name is Andrew White, and I build high-end, uniquely designed acoustic guitars. I got into guitar making in 1999 when I was traveling in Spain, and I bought a handmade guitar, and the builder of the instrument showed me his shop, and I thought that it was something I would probably like to try. So when I got back, I bought a book on how to build guitars, and I built one guitar. It took me a year, and from there it just took off, and I had to build another and another and another. The direction I go, basically, with my designs is I've tried really hard to not follow the lines of tradition. So everything is uniquely designed, and that goes from the choices of woods that I use. This is a redwood soundboard, and most commonly it would be cedar or spruce. And this is mahogany back and sides, which is a common wood. But on the insides of the guitars, I have a bracing system that is totally different from other instruments. And then the overall shape of the guitars that I have is different, and people see that. People that play a lot of guitar, they can tell that it's a little bit different.
All right, so now that you're a little bit more familiar with who Andrew White is and what guitars he makes, I want to kind of give you the scope of what's all offered at Andrew White Guitars. And this is more of a sense to just understand where this model sits in the whole lineup. There's 4 distinct series. You've got the production series, which is the Freya is part of. You've got the Decker's Creek series, which is kind of more of a traditional, think like Golden Age Martin and Gibson type models. And then you've got the Signature series, which immediately jumps in price. And then, of course, sitting at the top is the Luthier series, which is some of what you saw in that video. So let's focus on the production series, particularly this Freya 2002J. This particular guitar, and first let's get our heads wrapped around the production series. The production series is a kind of mass manufactured guitars. Now I say that not in the sense of saying it's bad or anything like that, but when you look at the price compared to, say, the Signature series or the Luthier series, you'll see immediately there's a distinct difference. I think the Signature series starts right around $6,900. So the production series is in a much different price bracket. And I think it's kind of cool because you get these very unique designs. I'm sorry, you can't say very and unique. You get these unique designs at a price that's, affordable. So kind of in that intermediate price level, if you will, to put kind of a vague term on it. So the Freya 2002 has a solid Jatoba top, back, and sides. Now, what the heck is Jatoba? And now, obviously, it looks very much like a mahogany or a sapelli type, but Jatoba is a little bit harder, I believe, than mahogany. It's sourced from Central America, southern Mexico, Brazil. It's often referred to as Brazilian cherry, and I don't think it really acts much like a cherry in terms of its sonic offerings. I think it's more of a I would say a harder mahogany. So you're going to get a subtle warmth, but with a lot of crisp attack and a lot of kind of cutting power. Furthermore, this is the Freya body size. This is the largest body size offered in the production series. We've got an ebony bridge, which is kind of an asymmetrical bridge, something that I really took a liking to. Ebony bridge pins. You've got a new bone saddle. Beautiful abalone trim around the entire top next to curly maple binding. Abalone rosette, ebony fretboard with the crop circle inlay, starting on the 5th fret and extending all the way to the 12th, done in abalone. An inch and 11/16 new bone nut, beautiful black 18:1 gear ratio tuners, and the nice kind of swooped Andrew White headstock shape. Now, this particular guitar comes equipped with an Artec onboard pickup and microphone, so it's definitely stage ready. And I found this guitar extremely comfortable to play. And before I actually get into the guitar, the sound of the guitar itself, I will note that this came with a really nice hardshell case. So if you're looking at the price, and I believe this guitar is right around $1,500, $1,600, if you look at the price, there's an extremely nice hardshell case kind of wrapped into that package, I believe. Of course, the details are on their website. And you can find the details at acousticlife.tv/AT90. There'll be links to this particular guitar as well as the Andrew White website. So after playing this guitar kind of for about a week, I flat picked it, I finger picked it, and where I thought this guitar really excelled was in the finger picking realm. There's very strong string to string separation, and the melody notes really kind of pop out. I think the bass presence is a little bit lower on this guitar, and the mid and trebles really pop out. So I think it's a great fingerstyle instrument. I'll give it a quick strum so you can hear how it sounds strummed, but I'm going to spend the majority of my time playing with doing fingerstyle because I think it really brings out the best in this particular guitar. So here's a quick little strum so you can hear what this guitar has to offer. So that's just a quick strum, but like I said, I think this guitar really excels in the fingerstyle realm. So here's a quick little blues thing, and you can hear what I'm talking about. So as you can hear, the melody notes really pop out, and I think that has to do with the Jatoba back, top, and sides. I think it adds this beautiful crispness, this beautiful cutting power, and overall, I think it's a great fingerstyle instrument. So there you have it, the Andrew White Freya 2002J. Make sure to check out the Andrew White website. Again, you can get all those links at acousticlife.tv/AT90. And while I get myself situated here, I want to, of course, introduce you to the man behind the scenes, turning the knobs and doing all sorts of crazy technological stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Noah Jacob Heckman Jr. the first.
Tony, how's it going?
I'm absolutely fantastic. How was your weekend, dare I ask?
I had a great weekend.
Tell me more.
It was a phenomenal weekend, just across the board. Just great time with the family. Also, I will say, a big part of this win was on Saturday, you, Levi, and I entered into a race.
We did.
And we participated in the 2019 Highlight Hill Climb race, which essentially is 8 miles uphill.
Straight uphill.
Straight uphill.
It's actually pretty beautiful because you start at the bottom. Well, obviously you start at the bottom of the hill, but the road right now they do maintenance coming into the spring because of things shift during the kind of springtime and rocks and stuff around the road or whatnot. So they close the road to do some maintenance, and during this 2-week closure, they schedule this race. And it's just beautiful, pristine. You're running right next to Highlight Creek, which is beautiful because it starts way up high. And once you finish the race, you're in this beautiful reservoir surrounded by mountains and all things glorious.
Yes, and so it was quite fun.
It was. We'll get to the results here.
Yes,
probably a little later.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear your version of the story, and then I'll just kind of A/B it against mine.
That's good because I think the two perspectives will help make it.
I had a wonderful revelation too. That was weird
As well.
phrasing on that. And I can't wait to share that because it didn't happen until I was sitting here today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested now.
Yeah, I'm interested too. I wonder how it'll sound because I never practiced saying it out loud. But let's keep trucking along. I've got a lot of stuff today. In fact, we're also going to hear from an artist that we previously featured. They were kind enough to take out some time and answer our questions, but we'll get to that. First and foremost, how about some Guitar Geek trivia? Here is your question for the day. What company is responsible for the introduction of the first clip-on guitar tuner with digital display? Was it A, Korg, B, Onboard Research, C, Snark, or D, Peterson? Go ahead and ponder that question, and at the end, I'll be sure to give you the answer. Now, before we go any further, I've got a lot of juicy guitar goodness for you. I do want you to know that Acoustic Tuesday is brought to you by Tony's Acoustic Challenge. Tony's Acoustic Challenge is an acoustic guitar program like you've never seen before. If you love experiencing progress, if you love having fun while doing so, you absolutely must check out Tony's Acoustic Challenge. In fact, I'll go as far as saying this. If you're a watcher of Acoustic Tuesday, you're a perfect fit for Tony's Acoustic Challenge. So please go check it out at tonysAcousticChallenge.com. Learn how it can take your playing to the next level, and don't hesitate to request your invite. I'd absolutely love to have you in the program. All right, moving on to our normally scheduled programming. I want to introduce you to a podcast. One of the things that I think in the last year or so, I've been kind of, I'll say, more hip to. I'm not really a technological type of person, but since Acoustic Tuesday doubles as a podcast, I thought I should listen to a podcast here and there. And I found this one that I think is this beautiful cross-section between guitar geekism and true crime. And this podcast is called Disgraceland. It's hosted by Jake Brennan, and he does an absolute wonderful job of combining these wonderful mysterious musical tales into this entertaining half-hour podcast. And that's what I think I love the most about this podcast is it's just a nice digestible chunk of time where he goes through and tells a very entertaining story, mostly involved around murder within the music industry, and the subject matter ranges, rather I should say the artists range from anywhere from Jerry Lee Lewis to Norwegian black metal artists to even rappers. But I think the common thread here is these wonderful, almost mythical-like tales that happen within the musical industry. And just to give you a taste, here's a little section from episode 1. The focus on this one is Jerry Lee Lewis, and I think you'll be addicted after even hearing just this tiny snippet. So let's have a listen.
Shaun is wearing a $6,000 ring. 77 days later, Shaun is dead. The official cause of death? An accident. But unlike Jared's death, Shaun's death attracted some attention. Police reports went missing. The EMTs who found Shaun's body at Jerry Lee's house noticed blood under her fingernails, scrapes on Jerry Lee's hand, bruises on Shaun's body. The nearby Memphis newspaper had rolled over, but in Detroit, near where Shaun's parents lived, reporters uncovered a bunch of details that didn't add up. It was starting to look like a cover-up, and not a very good one. And then, there was the matter of the call that Shaun made to her mother the night before she died. The one where she told her mom that she was trying to leave Jerry Lee.
If you dug that small little chunk, I guarantee you will absolutely love this podcast. It's one that I cannot wait. It's one of those ones that I just sit there in anticipation of the next episode. So there's currently 3 seasons available. I think there's about 12 seasons per episode, or 12 episodes per season rather. And the other thing that I really enjoy about this is I think Jake does a wonderful job with the whole package, from the start to the finish of the podcast, to the format of the podcast, but also some of the merchandise, and in particular, right to my heart, is the logo. I mean, it really combines guitar geekism and horror, which are 2 of my favorite things. I mean, you have a zombie Elvis, and I just think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. A zombie Elvis, and the title of the podcast is Disgraceland. I mean, it doesn't get any better or more ingenious than that. Also, I will say this, for you art lovers out there, each episode, if you go on the website for Disgraceland, each episode actually has this really cool tiny little woodcut piece of art that is attached to the episode that contains the theme of the episode. So you have to check it out on his website. And of course, you can get there at acousticlife.tv/AT90. You'll get a link to the Disgraceland podcast. And of course, if you like it, please leave Jake a review and subscribe to that podcast, because it's a treat. And I think Jake does awesome work. And I think we should all, as guitar geeks, support him, because it's pretty incredible stuff. And that was one of my small wins, was digging into that podcast. Noah, do you have any small wins to share?
You mean like me personally?
Or those of our viewers?
Oh.
Either way.
Oh, okay.
That was like my sneaky segue.
I see. Okay,
it's
I got
okay.
it now. Yes, I have small
Are you
wins.
with me?
I'm with you.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, always one of my favorite parts of Acoustic Tuesday is, as you say, getting to give Acoustic Tuesday viewers a voice.
I like that you grabbed onto that.
Yeah. I do listen. Okay, small wins. First one comes from Paul H., who says he's traveling now without a dependable place to practice. But he ended up alone in a nice room with elevator music that he couldn't control. So he decided to use the Muzak as a backing track for improv. He said, had a great time, and I found my way to the key of E-flat using bar chords, thanks to Fretboard Wizard. Paul H.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Paul. I think that's probably the most positive spin I've ever heard on elevator music before.
That's true.
And also, thanks for the shout-out on Fretboard Wizard. That's pretty awesome. It was a great program.
Speaking of elevator music,
Yeah.
I cannot find that clip from Saturday Night Live where John Lovitz is the devil and Paul Simon gets stuck in the elevator, and that's his hell for eternity, and he's stuck listening to Simon and Garfunkel songs in elevator style. And I've been trying to find that clip. So if anyone finds it, please. You okay over there, Tony?
Yes, it was just funny.
Okay, next one comes from JT. I've been struggling with bar chords, and I finally got the F bar chord to Vibe last weekend. Plus, finally got my driver's license too.
Dude, that's outstanding. Congratulations on all accounts. And I think there was maybe some colorful precursors to the F bar chord.
Well, so to quote him directly, he said, I got the F-ing F bar chord.
And I always thought, it's called the F chord for a reason. That's what I always thought. Because it's just the easiest one to make.
That's deep.
Just kidding.
That's deep. I could see Bach and all those guys back in the day, naming that stuff. Okay. And then our last small win from Acoustic Tuesday viewers is from James M., who says, at the beginning of May, I'm getting a 1978 Taylor 855 12-string. And then he says SN 565. Maybe you get that reference.
Serial number 565, I believe.
Okay, I got you now.
Which is way early. I mean, if we're talking Taylor guitars, you think 1978, here we are in 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. They pump out guitars in a major fashion.
He continues to say Neil Young has 2 of them.
Oh.
And he says, I really would like to play guitars before I buy them, but alas, the guitar centers and other stores around here don't have many high-end guitars. But
This is funny because I totally understand what James is saying. And I was on the phone with Matt from Eddie's Guitars last week. We've kind of been on the phone regularly lately. But it's funny because we were talking about that very thing of how buying a guitar online right now is so much different than when people first started e-commerce sites and trying to sell guitars online. It's like you can get a video of the exact guitar, you can call them and they'll give you an in-hand description. Like, it's come a long way. And I found myself, I would say about 3 years ago, saying, I don't know if I'd ever really buy a guitar sight unseen online, and or rather not heard online. And now I don't know if I even think twice about it anymore. Just because the technology is there to really support your decision.
plus, I mean, if you end up trusting the source and the people either sharing or doing the demo and things like that, you trust the source, then you can probably bank on getting what you want.
That's a really good point. And I'll just give a quick shout out to Matt over at Eddie's Guitars, because he has this wonderful knack for knowing if the guitar is going to be a good fit for me personally. This is my experience, and I will say, he's actually, I've called him about certain guitars before, and he's like, I know the way you play. I don't really think this is a good fit for you, and I really admire that in Matt. I think he just has this wonder. It's like his superpower. He just knows. And I've gotten 3 guitars from Matt. 3 guitars from Matt. Yeah, 3 guitars from Matt in the last year, and he's been dead on about all of them. So it's nice to have a trusted source. So thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Those are the small wins.
Noah, did you want to share any small wins from the weekend, or do you want to wait?
Man,
Even more.
I realized we didn't discuss this. We didn't actually talk about when and how we were going to get this story into the episode. And so...
Here's what I'd like to do.
Okay, please.
I'd love for you to share your story.
Right now?
Yeah, because I might just wait and come... I might have to collect my thoughts and give my version of the story a little bit later.
Well, okay. Well, I would love to tell the story. And it's so good. And it's a small win because not only... did you, Levi, and I participate in this event, and I'm going to pop up a picture here right now of the 3 of us. This is up there at the Highlight Reservoir after the race took place. So, as you can see, at least from the picture, we're all alive and well, and things are good. But that wasn't necessarily going to be the case. And let me explain why. So, I'm going to try to condense this because I was telling this story to some friends and family yesterday, and it turned into quite the theatrical event. I think I took up like 15 minutes just to tell the story.
I'd like to think if we lived in ancient Greece, this would actually end up being one of the myths.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
That's a good
one.
one.
But instead of actual running shoes, we would have sandals on.
So let me give some context. So there were several things going on in this race. One of them was that, Levi hasn't been running as often as Tony and I. Okay, that was one factor. So in the back of our minds, we're like, how's Levi going to do on this race? I'm sure he's going to do fine, but we just, it's just one of those unknowns. Then, I've been running pretty regularly since the new year. However, you, Tony, are the seasoned vet. And so we've got just these unspoken things going on in the back of our head, like we're sizing each other up, like how are we going to do? I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to keep pace with you during the race, and it's the hill climb, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do all those things, right?
So far, I fully endorse everything that you're saying. Okay. I mean, I'm 100% behind you.
Okay, that's great. So the race kicks off. Now, let me say there's 59 racers doing this event, and there was even a mom with a newborn who showed up, maybe 8 weeks, 10 weeks old, with the stroller and her dog.
Yeah.
Right, shows up at this event. It's pretty awesome. So the race kicks off. We get going, and we're all pretty strong. We're just pacing with each other, and just going, little idle chit chat here and there. About mile 3, Levi starts to fall behind a little bit, which I think we maybe kind of expected, but we were still confident that he would probably make it. Just making a couple comments of, man, I hope that mom in the stroller doesn't pass him. To which he had some funny comments later on. So Levi kind of falls behind, to do his thing, to focus and find a pace that's good for him. Tony and I keep going and still sticking with each other. Let me just say that we pace together the whole time. So we're right there, just shoulder to shoulder pretty much the whole time. But as the miles go on, it starts to occur to me more and more that I remembered that Tony is quite the competitive guy. And very competitive.
Understatement.
Actually.
Very, very competitive is a complete understatement.
I'm going to switch views here, and okay. I know we don't use this one, but I'm going to put you in there next to me. So there, now we're kind of together there.
Are you over here or over here?
Over there.
This way?
That way.
So,
yep,
okay.
That's where I am.
Hey buddy.
Okay, so where was I? Oh, yes, you're competitive.
Yeah,
So it
very
started-
competitive, I think,
so-
was the quote we can pull from that.
So it started occurring to me, what's going to happen at the end of this race? So then my mind starts going through all these scenarios of what you're going to do, or if you're thinking about what you're going to do. And I'm like, he's going to do something. I don't know what. Either I'm going to tire and he's going to just pull ahead or whatever, or he's going to do like one of those sprint things. Well, oh yeah, I'm going to do the sprint thing. That's what I decided. I'm going to sprint. So the last mile pretty much is like just a steady incline the whole way. And
Very accurate, yeah.
And we have differing philosophies on running a little bit. I tend to push myself on the hills, whereas you tend to stay back and want to conserve some energy.
Yeah.
Right?
I shorten up the stride, and I slow my pace a little bit because I try and offset the exertion of the uphill.
Right. Okay. So we get to this last mile on the stretch, and I pull ahead a little bit, because I'm pushing myself on the inclines. And I'm not thinking much about it, and I'm like, I'm sure he's just conserving his energy or something. I'm not really pulling ahead of him, right? So then we get to the top of the incline, which then as you come around a little curve, you see the arch, right? There's the end of the race. But you got to do this wicked tight S turn. It's like a weird hard right turn and then an S towards the straightaway for the arch. And about maybe 30 feet or so before we get to the sharp turn, Tony just starts to book it. He starts to, not full out sprint, but like definitely like I'm going for it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see how it is. So then I start to, speed up behind you. You do the hard right cut and step in some snow because there is still snow on the ground at this time. And you almost kind of slip, like, little unsure footing. But you made it, you maintained, and you cut around the right, that sharp turn. I slow down a little bit because I saw you kind of slip, so I'm not going to slip. So I kind of follow behind you there. Then you just cut loose. You're like, I'm around. I just made the sharp turn. Now it's just a slight curve through the arch, and you just go for it. Should I keep going, or do you want to take it from here? Would this be a
You're
good
doing
time?
really well. It's a to be continued, I think. I think we're going to kick back with your... We're going to finalize the story here a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll pause here?
Yeah.
All right.
So just for the listeners and the folks watching, we're about... Are we 20 feet away from the finish line at this point?
Sure. Maybe 20, 30 feet.
We're approaching the S curve. The tiny little S curve before the finish line.
Yeah, you made the sharp turn.
Yeah.
But now it's the wider curve toward the straightaway.
Okay. To be continued here in a little bit. I gotta get some Guitar Geek out of my system here.
Okay, sorry.
I gotta tell everybody what we're listening to this week. Now, this week we were recommended an artist by John D. John D is from Columbus, Georgia, and he recommended that we listen to Shawn Hopper. I had never heard of Shawn Hopper before. And after reading John's story about his first encounter with Shaun, I was like, how can I not listen to Shaun? So let me tell you the story. It'll probably pique your interest as it did mine, and we'll listen to some songs from Shaun. So this is what John writes about Shawn Hopper. John says this. I was lying low in Valdosta, Georgia, after the heartbreaking end of a calamitous relationship with a woman in Silverton, Oregon, when my friend Joe Smothers, a gifted singer-songwriter in his own right, asked me to join him at the Salty Snapper for an evening of song with his friend Shawn Hopper. I reluctantly agreed to emerge from my exile. 4 hours later, after an evening spent with Joe and Shawn, I was reawakened. I actually picked up my guitar and again began playing and writing music. A song about that self-possessed woman in Silverton. How a South Georgia backwater town like Adel produced a musician as gifted, gregarious, and erudite as Shawn, I'll never know, but he's definitely worth a listen. Shawn is challenging to characterize. At first, one might want to say that he's a percussive guitarist, but there's a strong classical undercurrent in his playing style, or playing styles, which runs the gamut from Irish folk to hard rock to Joe Beam-esque to Chopin-like interludes, and it's all effortless for Shawn. I don't know if Shawn ever travels out west, but I know Bozeman, and he'd fit in perfectly. Enjoy, Tony, and thanks for a delightful weekly show. Now, I have to say, John's story alone piqued my interest in Shawn Hopper, and after looking at various clips of Shawn playing, it was one of those moments where I was like, how the hell have I never heard of this person? Because he does he morphs. You want to call him a percussive style guitarist, but then you hear the next song and you're like, no, it's definitely more of a jazz type thing. But needless to say, I mean, the list of Shawn's influences run the gamut from Tommy Emmanuel, Leo Kottke, Pete Huttlinger. We're talking fingerstyle greats. And I think Shawn does a wonderful job of being influenced by all of those players, but carving out his own niche. And he does so with just wonderful, wonderful fashion. So without further ado, let's listen to Shawn's song entitled Paper Orchids. Pretty awesome tune. And one of the things I was actually mentioning to Noah when we were rehearsing today's show was that, man, I said, these solo performers that do the percussive two-hand thing, I'm like, talk about stress. Because if one thing goes wrong, you just lose the momentum of the song. And I think John did a great description of Shawn and saying, you know, it's effortless for him. And that's what I gather from just that one clip. Now, keep in mind, Shawn he's kind of one of those ninja under the radar artists, but upon some digging, I found out that he won in the year 2007 at Winfield. He won the Best Instrumental Song, which is pretty high accolades. The Winfield Festival is really where a ton of the top players go to compete in these various competitions. So it's pretty cool to see that Shawn participated in that and won. So just to give you a little bit of a sense of his musical shape-shifting abilities, let's listen to this song entitled Singing Through the Storm. And this is including bass player Jalan King. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but let's have a listen. Those are just two of the myriad of facets of Shawn's musicality. I would encourage you to dig into his full discography. I've got 3 albums that I want you to check out. I don't have years on all of these, but first we've got Lowercase Letters, and then next an album entitled Once Written, and then the final one, this one I do have a year for, released in 2016, The Wood and the Wire. And for you guitar geeks out there, you probably noticed this, but if you didn't, as a guitar geek, I noticed that each album cover actually features a different guitar. That first one is a Maton, the second one, Larrivee, is front and center, and then the last one is a Martin. So pretty guitar geeky thing there. And just want to thank John for reaching out and submitting that, recommending that we listen to Shawn. Really a treat to listen to. And it was funny when Noah and I were going through the rehearsal today, I'm like, that bass tone is like straight up Weather Report, like Jocko, fretless. It's got this like 80s-ish reverb to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool, I mean, it's a very signature tone for a time period, I guess, in my eyes.
Yep.
Sorry, I was just going to keep gushing a little bit. It reminded me of some of Michael Hedges' live performances, because Michael Hedges did a lot of bass synthy stuff, and I just thought it really captured that whole vibe. Noah, what do you think about that bass tone? Is that something that you would personally go after?
It's fun. It's fun to go after. Now, the bands that I've been in or played in, and my personal taste on tone, no, I wouldn't go for that and use that. I don't think the music that I also play calls for that kind of tone.
I would agree, yeah.
But it's fun to play with and mess around with, especially when you do the
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Well, I was going to describe it as the pizzicato, kind of a little more involved and articulate playing, if you will.
It's just, anyways, I know this isn't a bass show, but as a bass player, I was like, I never even asked Noah about the bass tone. Like, what he thought about it. Because, I feel like that's kind of a signature bass tone. Yeah. But anyways, I would recommend you all listen to Shawn Hopper. He is really a musical treat. To find out more about Shawn, please go to acousticlife.tv/AT90. You'll get a link to his website. And, of course, if you want to purchase any of his albums, there's a link for that there as well. Of course, we want to know what you think of the show so far, so in the comments below, please let us know. And if you leave a comment, please include where you're tuning in from. It's so cool to see how far and wide we can unite all these guitar geeks on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And of course, as you're leaving a comment, ask yourself the very important question, hey, am I subscribed to the Acoustic Life YouTube channel? Because if you're not, it's super easy to, and as a guitar geek, I feel like you absolutely must be subscribed. Just click that red subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that little gray bell. That'll give you a notification of each and every new video that goes live, so you can actually stay in the loop on all the guitar geekiness that happens on this channel. Speaking of comments, Noah, you've got some comments selected from our very own Acoustic Tuesday family. Why don't you give them a read-through?
I do. Okay. Now, of course, we always encourage all Acoustic Tuesday viewers to please jump in and make a comment and chime in. We definitely want to hear from you. And, of course, what is shared here is just a brief little snippet of all the other comments and small wins and Guitar Geek wins. So please spend some time reading through them yourself. You'll find much more encouragement and entertainment. They are entertaining, Tony.
I agree. I absolutely agree. There's really cool, but if I may interject, there's cool interaction between Acoustic Tuesday viewers as well. Mm-hmm. Like folks will post a comment or like a new Guitar Day thing, and it's just you all agree. All the viewers of Acoustic Tuesday are really, you guys are true guitar geeks. You just want nothing more than to see your fellow guitar geeks live out their best acoustic life, and gosh, we just appreciate the hell out of you.
All right. So first comment comes from Chad J, who just says, hello from Bedford, Texas. Keep up the good work.
Thanks for watching.
And now, so this next one I chose comes from Florian M. And
I think I know which one you're talking about.
It was one of the most amazing comments I've ever seen. And I just really appreciate it because of the background that I myself have with Nintendo. And of course, being able to pass that Nintendo tradition on to my own children.
That statement's funny to me.
Here's what Florian said. Quote, I really enjoyed watching you, Tony, and Luigi. So I'm sure many of you right away will know exactly what is meant by Luigi. Super Mario Brothers from Nintendo, NES.
I'm making a connection that I didn't make when I first heard that.
Okay.
You had the green hat.
Yes. And yes, I was wearing the Green Mountain Project hat, and I had the mustache at the time, which, obviously, as you can see now, I do not have anymore. Long story short, I saved my marriage. I might have said this before once. I got to remember this time. I can't do the mustache. The wife she can't get on board. So I'm going to honor that from now on. Okay, so thank you, Florian. Great comment. It's one of my favorites. Next one comes from JRC. Hey, Tony and Noah, tuning in from Norway. Love the show. Good to see that I'm not the only guitar geek out there. My favorite bit is all the new music and artists I'm discovering. What a joy. Also, I'm a Scotch lover and a bass player, so Noah, I'm always on your side. But I'm no fanatic, and I'm currently enjoying a drink of Knob Creek. Not bad for a bourbon. Keep up the work, JRC.
Thanks for watching. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I will say that is something that also makes us similar, is that I, too, will enjoy a bourbon. And Tony got one, actually, last week that I think is at the top of both of our lists as far as bourbons go.
Can I just interject?
Sure.
I, too, I'm going to share this publicly because this is a big step for me. I enjoyed, intentionally, a glass of Monkey Shoulder. What is that? It's a blended
Yeah,
What is that?
It's a blended Speyside Scotch whiskey.
See? I'm really widening my vision.
That's true.
Or whatever they say.
I'm sorry I didn't remember that. I should have remembered that. Yes, you did try the monkey shoulder.
And that was from Acoustic Tuesday viewer Jesse J.
Right.
He's the one that had it. He had it in his guitar arsenal. It looked cool. You got a bottle for us to enjoy.
I did.
And I tried it.
I think what happens is I've begun to, all this time, I simply tune out anything that you're about to say about Scotch. And so I don't listen. So we had the monkey shoulder, and you probably said some stuff, but I just didn't even hear it.
You probably said some stuff. Well, thanks. Thanks.
Okay.
At least you acknowledge that I said words.
And our last comment today, Tony, comes from Nicole N., who says, I enjoy playing, and I feel that I'm not worse than when I first started, but in my environment, unfortunately, it's a musical desert. I can't get a challenge. And then she goes on to say, without instructors like you, I wouldn't have gone anywhere. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks for watching, Nicole. Gosh, we appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. That's awesome. Do you have a list of your Guitar Geek wins?
I do. I got 2 of them for you.
I have a third one.
Oh, okay.
And I'll add it at the end.
Fine.
And then we can finish our race story.
Oh, yes. I know. As if the race story isn't long enough.
I know.
Okay. Okay, so 2 Your Guitar Geek wins. First one comes from Matt Dillon, which, of course, but I think you and I both thought at the same time, but you voiced it, that those are both characters from 90210.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I just didn't know if it was Matthew Perry that played Dylan or if there was a Matt and a Dylan in the show. I can't remember.
No, it's Luke Perry.
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry.
Oh, not Matt Perry. Luke Perry.
Gosh. I'm just going to stop. And
I
say,
loved watching that show.
And say what he said. I was a Saved by the Bell guy. So
well, me too.
I didn't.
Kelly Kapowski.
So Matt says, you're a Guitar Geek when you have to watch all your favorite TV shows and movies with the subtitles or closed captioning on because you never put down your guitar long enough to actually just watch the show.
I mean, I think that's a pro tip as well.
Yeah.
Because there's oftentimes I'll have the TV just rolling full blast. I'll be playing guitar and Whitney's like, hey, do you need both of these right now? And I know what you might be laughing at because I'll oftentimes play music here at the studio and then start other things on top of the music that's playing. This is cacophonous.
It's so loud. So loud. Okay. That's a good one. That's a good Guitar Geek, when. You are.
Okay, Yoda, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. And this next one comes from Brandon B., who says, you're a Guitar Geek when you discover a new luthier on Acoustic Tuesday, then proceed to spend hours looking up the various models on YouTube to get a sound demo on each one. Of course, there's also the time spent looking at just the guitar photos, but I think we all know it involved giggling, drooling, and imbibing some whiskey. Don't ask me to pick between Scotch and bourbon, though. I love both.
I'm wondering what guitar maker that was. Because I have a feeling it was New Era. If he spent that much time digging into models, I have a feeling it's Tony Klassen's
I'm curious on the giggling. Because when originally reading that, I thought, man, I don't think I've ever seen Tony or heard him giggle while you were going deep in some luthier or some guitar thing. So I guess it's connected to the imbibing part.
Oh, I see how that could happen.
Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
no,
do you find yourself just giggling just because you're looking at guitars?
A lot of times I'll make just expressions of pure, I'm just in awe. Like, I'll find something, I'll just be like, oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's kind of my catchphrase.
Okay. Yeah.
But I could see how that could be, I could giggle through that. I'm on the same page. I really am.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's fine.
Can I share your Guitar Geek when?
Please.
You're a Guitar Geek when you go to the chiropractor, and even though you're having multiple issues with your hips and back, your first priority is to say, hey, my picking hand is really tight and sore. Can you help me out? Hence these wonderful marks on my arm. These are the crop circles that match the Andrew White guitar that I reviewed. No, he did these suction cups on my forearm. And it really looks interesting. But yeah, he's a very compassionate.
So you
Cairo.
didn't. So that's not. You didn't get hurt or fall or anything. That's not what those are from.
And that would be this elbow.
Oh.
Speaking about falling.
Okay.
Speaking of falling, Noah, did you want to continue our story? Where we last left our two heroes racing to the finish?
Our two heroes racing to the finish. And here they are now. There's the two heroes. Yeah. So yeah. You want me to take? Okay.
You're painting such a vivid picture. I want you to continue.
I'll just say it, and then you can give your perspective.
Okay.
So where were we? We're
approaching the S curve.
Yes, we're about 20, 30 feet away from the arch to finish. We just did the sharp turn.
Yeah.
To come into that S curve, and you like refocus. You had a little, some snow there.
Yeah.
And then you decided this is it, and then you just go for it.
Punch it.
You punch it. I don't know what's going on in your mind, but here's what I see. I see you punch it, and I'm doubting myself. I'm like, can I sprint right now? I don't know. I have to. I have to sprint right now. So I start to take off after you, and then the next thing I know, you're gone. I don't see you because you ate it so bad.
Oh.
One moment you're there, the next minute you're just on the ice. You're just on the ground.
Like full send, like hands and knees on the
like boom.
Yeah.
And
bad.
By this point there's spectators, right? Folks who are just up there or folks who've already finished the race. They're watching people come in. So of course and immediately you get the ooh,
the collective
oh, are you okay? Right? I'm still running. I see you on the ground now and time slows down for me. And in those milliseconds, I'm like, is he okay? He's starting to get up. He's okay. Should I stop and help him? Well, what would Tony do? I'm going to keep going. So I just keep running and pass you, okay? Then, at some point, I know that you got up. But I wasn't booking it at this point because I thought... man, I'll just roll in. He's going to get up and finish too. But I was wrong. You got back up and you started to book it.
Well, I got back up on the patch of ice that I fell on.
Okay.
And it was glare. I mean, it was like slick ice. I really fell pretty hard. And I got up and I was first of all mad that I fell because I saw that Noah had passed me. And then I was like, I got to catch up. But I'm still on this ice, and I did not have any traction on my shoes. I just wore my road running shoes, and I'm like Flintstoning on this ice. It's like brrr, I cannot get going. It's just driving me freaking crazy. So Noah, carry on.
Oh, okay. So I'm back to just normally kind of going, maybe pushing it a tad, but not sprinting. And then I notice to my left, he starts to pass me again. Because you found your footing, and you were not
bound and determined.
You were bound and determined. You weren't gonna let me get through that arch first. So then you start to come to my left, and then I think you passed me for a good little piece. I wasn't expecting you to come up that quickly.
Yeah.
So you passed me for some good footage.
Feedage.
So finally, I just dig in, and I'm like, I'm kind of spent, but I'm gonna do this. No, I'm not going to lose this way. So then I dig in and I just go for it. I'm just like sprinting like I was back in high school or something for the fun run. You want to take it from here?
Yeah. So at this point, I'm ahead of Noah, and I see the arch. I'm probably within 5 feet of the arch, and I don't feel great after I fell, but I still want to win this because. Just because. I mean, we certainly aren't the first finishers.
No.
So it's just a pride thing at this point. So I'm going and I'm like, okay, I'm at the arch. I passed Noah. Life is good. I'm about 5 feet away from the little strip that you step on when you end. And like out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy's black and blue shoe like right next to me. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, go away. Can you just go away? He's like a little fly. He's just annoying. So I goose it a little bit, but he's got full head of steam. And then, can you describe the photo finish?
Oh man! And then, if there was a photo finish, the last few seconds became like this shoving match where like our arms are pushing each other, and then I'm just like launching for it. I'm like, I'm gonna get across that line first, and I reach out with my right foot to land over, and then you just pretty much plow into me and to try to destroy me somehow. I didn't fall, but I can say I passed through the arch first.
Now, let's that's fair. That's fair, because the time did indicate that the clock time of the race shows us finishing at the same exact time. However, the chip time does show Noah finishing 1 second before me. I'd like to think it's less than a second. And I'd like to think that my shove that I gave you actually pushed you ahead of me. And,
okay.
And honestly, I think you should be thanking me because I gave you that extra boost to finish first.
Yes, this came out afterwards. And yes, of course, my comment was, hey, a second's a second. That's all I needed. Whether it's a full second, whether it's less than a full second, on the official deal, I came in, I ranked out of 59 runners, I ranked 30, and you ranked 31.
We ranked as a tie for 31st place.
And I won't deny that your shove probably helped some.
Well, I think, so initially, I was really mad. Like, really mad. Because somebody asked us, right, we both finished, we crossed the finish line. Somebody's like, do you guys even like each other? And I looked at the guy, and I'm totally toast. Like, I'm out of breath. And I'm like, no, not right now. I don't like him at all. And he just booked it to the porta potty, because I remember on the last mile, he's like, God, I got to pee so bad. So I think part of the motivation for going so fast at the end was to actually just reach the bathroom.
Well, I was also kind of scared that by pushing myself to sprint at the end,
you're going to just pee your pants.
I might just pee my pants.
But the realization I had afterwards, and I kind of gave you a glimpse of this on our drive back, was it's so cool to be surrounded by your friends and people that help elevate you to another level. That was something that was really cool, and a realization after I got the competitiveness out of my brain. And the second thing, and I realized this morning, and I was just like, you know what? I'm really proud of Noah. Because if you all remember, I think this was, gosh, I want to say like Acoustic Tuesday, somewhere in the 50s or 60s. It was your first run. It was a 5-mile run right after the new year, and Noah hadn't really been a runner. He had been working out, but he hadn't really been a runner. And I thought, man, from January to the end of April, you've made some incredible gains. And I think that's celebration worthy. I think that's pretty awesome, man. And I'm really proud of you for doing that. In fact, the whole time I'm like, I've had the thought, I'm like, will you please go away? Go away. Can you get tired and go away? But you didn't. And I just am, you helped push me to a new level, and I hopefully it was a reciprocal.
It definitely was. And thank you for noticing that. I appreciate that, because I wanted to work hard at becoming a better runner. And I wouldn't have started if it wasn't for you. If you hadn't done what you have already done last year, 2017 into 18, and so on, I definitely would not be here. So thank you.
So it's a mutually beneficial situation. And
Absolutely.
and I think if I'm speaking for myself here, but I may be speaking for both of us. I thought about it all weekend, and it always ended with me smiling and cracking up. Whitney's like, "What are you thinking about?" And I just started laughing. I'm like, I cannot believe that race. It was just It was just comical. It was comical.
It was great. And Levi finished too.
He did, and that was, I think, the most impressive, because he had one run under his belt prior to this.
Yeah.
One training run, which I think he said was about 3 miles. Mm-hmm. And this was an 8-mile race, all uphill. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a pretty grueling course. So
yeah. So we all made it.
It was a small win for
awesome.
all of us.
And you finally got to try the cereal that I brought you.
Yeah, that was my treat for after the race. Noah and I each sent a picture to one another of us eating the s'mores cereal by Malto Meal. And for Acoustic Tuesday viewers that have been following the show for a bit, you know the saga of the s'mores cereal and how near and dear to our hearts that it is.
Yes.
Well, Noah, I think there's no better segue to launch into Guitarsenals.
Yes.
Because we finally have some Guitarsenals to share. I'm so delighted that we asked, and you wonderful Acoustic Tuesday viewers rose to the occasion. And I've got two brand spanking new Guitarsenals for you. The first one comes from Mercer M. Excuse me. Mercer M is from Harrison Hot Springs, British Columbia, and his Guitarsenal, we're going to go from right to left here. We've got some cool guitars in here. The first one is a black Doyle Dykes GA Signature Acoustic from Taylor Guitars. The next one comes from Prestige Guitars, which are made in North Vancouver, British Columbia, and on that guitar, we've got a custom 4A grade Adirondack spruce top, an Edimo Pomele back and sides. Next, we have another Prestige Guitars. This is the Eclipse model. This is has a cedar top and rosewood back and sides. And last but certainly not least, a composite acoustics guitar. This is a cargo model with a one-piece, it's one-piece carbon fiber, travel size, and the custom logo is from Blue Dog Guitars in Vancouver, British Columbia. I want to thank Mercer M for sharing his Guitarsenal with us. And then the next Guitarsenal I have to share, and I got to tell you, this is probably one of my favorite Guitarsenal pictures, just because of the setting. It just looks cool. It looks like a place I want to go hang. This is from Don B., and he lives in Salinas, California. And he says, Tony, first let me thank you and mailbox runner Noah for your Acoustic Tuesday broadcast. Always look forward to watching your newest episodes with your reviews and playing tips. Great job. Now for my Guitarsenal. Now this is so cool. The top row is all of his own personal cigar box builds. Starting left to right. Left is his first build, then a cigar box guitar entitled Punch Box. Next is the Dog Bowl Resonator cigar box guitar. Following that is the Altoids pickup box, and then a Stumac kit, tenor uke, and then a Tagima tenor uke, and then the guitar that started it all, an Ibanez V70 CE. The second row consists of an Epiphone Les Paul Standard Pro, a Samick Strat, his two Goodwill finds, a Lyle Trini Lopez copy, and a Chord Strat, a Fender, and then wrapping all up the second row, a Fender Squier Telly. The bottom row is a Taylor 114E, a 00 build in progress, and that comes complete with a bottle of Crown. Then a Rogue 12-string and his go-to favorite mahogany Taylor GS Mini. Also included is a picture of the family dog named Baby Girl for extra points. He says, I started my collection and playing about 5 years ago, and I know that I should devote more time to playing, but I found that I enjoy building as well. Again, thanks for all you guys do. Well, thank you, Don and Mercer, for sharing your Guitarsenals with us. And if you're sitting there thinking, I want to share my Guitarsenal, it's been on my list. Now it's time. It's super easy. You got to get yourself a Guitarsenal shirt. There's a link right beneath this YouTube episode. Go ahead and put that Guitarsenal shirt on, then go ahead and take a picture amongst all of your guitars. And lastly, please submit it at acousticlife.tv. Once you type in acousticlife.tv, you'll see a submit link in the top menu. Go ahead and click that. You can upload your picture and then go ahead and describe it. Once you do that, you'll be featured on an upcoming episode of Acoustic Tuesday. I almost said an upcoming episode of Guitarsenal. That's what I almost said. It's just I'm all scrambly today. All scrambly.
It's okay. It's all right.
Well, last but certainly not least, I'm excited for this next piece of information, this next segment, because we are hearing from another Acoustic Tuesday artist. And I'm excited because we get a little bit of a in-depth look at their lives, the gear they use, and the things that have changed their life. Yes, it's time for an Ask the Artist segment. And now we're going to feature Clay Parker and Jody James, previously featured on AT91. And in case you missed that episode, or in case you don't know who Clay Parker or Jody James are, let's have a quick listen to their tune Katie's Blues, and then we'll get into them answering our questions. 1, 2, 3.
Katie, where you running to? You know they're gonna follow you. So don't look back, whatever you do.
All right, after seeing them play a little bit, you're probably wondering, gosh, those guitars are really cool. I want to know more about those guitars. Well, ask and you shall receive. We asked the artist, and they so beautifully described each and every guitar in their guitar arsenal, and I just want to thank both Clay and Jody for sharing their time with us. So without further ado, let's hear from Clay and Jody, and they're going to answer our questions.
Hey y'all, I'm Jody James.
I'm Clay Parker. We are Clay Parker and Jody James. Thank you for having us, Acoustic Life. Tony had 3 questions for us to answer this evening, so we'll do our best to
not mess up.
The
first question was name an under-the-radar artist that we think you should know about. So we chose our friend and fellow Baton Rouge-ian, Eric Schmidt.
This is Eric's record, Unraveling, that came out in 2017. And we did a little bit of work on this record, but we think it's phenomenal. We think all the songs are just outstanding. And
He's a great songwriter and storyteller, and this one you'll want to listen to over and over, I'm sure.
the second question that was asked to us is, of all of our acoustic guitars, which is our favorite? And between the two of us, we own a total of 3 acoustic guitars. This one is a 1976 Gibson J45/50. I got this guitar about 9 years ago. When I got it, I didn't want another guitar after this, and so this has just kind of been the one that I've been playing all these years, and so I really dig it. It's got a nice sort of round tone, and I play it with a metal thumb pick these days, and kind of get some weird, extra special high frequency things that happen with that. But other than that, it's just your typical wooden box with glue and tension.
And before he was playing that one, he was playing this one, but I have since claimed it as my own because I love it. It's a Gibson 1962 LGO, and it has a really nice warm MIDI tone. And anyway, these guitars kind of have a lot to do with our sound, I would think. Just the way they complement each other and all that.
We do have one more guitar that we mainly keep at the house, but it's a...
This is what I used to play, and I do love it.
This is a Guild, not too old, but the strings on this hadn't been changed in probably about 6 years, and we keep it that way on purpose because it's got this weird thumpy bass thing that happens, and we record with it a good bit. I don't know how to describe that sound, but I guess that you can't get that sound without having 6-year-old strings on something. So anyway, that's
So anyway, those are all of our guitars.
We're also asked if we could choose one piece of gear that sort of changed our lives. In the last couple years, we found these really cool capos. We tend to use capos a lot. We like the sound of different, each of us doing a different voicing on the guitar, and these little Page capos, the brand is Page, P-A-I-G-E, and they just kind of, hang out on the headstock up here, and
Pretty great.
I don't know, it's, we found Jody's at this old vintage guitar shop in this really small town in Arkansas.
Billy's World of Guitars.
Billy's World of Guitars.
It's a pretty amazing place.
Yeah.
like junk shop / museum / music store.
I think it's still open. I'm
I hope so.
I'm not sure. But we found that one and put it on her guitar, and she loved it. And so I tried it out on mine. I just love it because I don't have to be responsible for keeping up with a capo. I went and found my own here, and I kind of modified it. This is a newer one, I guess, that they started putting rubber pieces up here, and I wanted something that was a little more sturdy like hers. So this is some fish aquarium tubing that I put on here. It's a little bit more sturdy for the job. But overall, it's just an even tension. You don't have to bear down too hard on it, and we just dig them a lot. So anyhow.
Well, I guess that's it. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you, Tony.
having us. And we'll see y'all down the road. Cheers, guys.
Adios.
I again want to thank both Clay and Jody on behalf of all of us guitar geeks for sharing that with us. It's so cool to get a little bit of insight into their musical lives. And what I think is stunning is that this is the second time a capo has been cited as a life-changing piece of gear. And I think that's pretty telling. I think the capo really does get a bad rap, and I'm excited that another Acoustic Tuesday artist chose that as the piece of gear that has changed their life. So again, thanks Clay and Jody, and to learn more about them, please visit acousticlife.tv /AT90. You'll be able to get links for anything I've talked about, specifically the Andrew White guitar, the Disgraceland podcast, Shawn Hopper, and of course Clay Parker and Jody James. And with that, we're almost ready to wrap things up, but first, your Guitar Geek trivia question. A quick recap, and then I'll give you the answer. Your question was this: what company is responsible for the introduction of the first clip-on guitar tuner with digital display? Was it A, Korg, B, Onboard Research, C, Snark, or D, Peterson? Well, if you answered B, Onboard Research, you're absolutely correct. The clip-on tuner was invented in 1995 by Mark Wilson of Onboard Research Corporation, which marketed it as the IntelliTouch tuner model PT1. And I think after seeing that tuner, you might have said, hey, I had one of those. And while it wasn't the speediest display, while it wasn't the most incredibly accurate display, it was the only clip-on tuner available for quite some time. So kind of a bit of Guitar Geek history being made right there. So I want to thank Mark for inventing that, because it's made all of our lives a hell of a lot easier. And with that, Acoustic Tuesday has prepared for crosscheck. Acoustic Tuesday has put the pedal to the metal, zoomed down the runway, flew in the air, reached cruising altitude, and is now coming down for a nice gentle landing in a paradise valley of sorts.
Wow.
Yeah? What do you think, Noah? Anything you want to add to that?
No.
It's pretty good?
It's great.
I want to thank you all for your time today. Thank you for sharing your A Tuesday with us and with all of us guitar geeks here. We appreciate your time. We know that it's a valuable resource, and you sharing it with us means the world. Don't forget to subscribe to the Acoustic Life YouTube channel. Don't forget to share this show with your guitar geek friends. The more guitar geeks we get to unite on Tuesdays, the better off Acoustic Tuesday is for us all. So thank you so much. And before I leave you, let's take a sneak peek into next week, because next week on Acoustic Tuesday, you're going to learn how to break through and rise above guitar shop anxiety. You're going to learn about a luthier trained in the ninja art of hot rodding acoustic guitars, and a resophonic guitar maker carving out a brand new niche. I am super pumped for next week's episode, and I don't want you to miss it, so please make sure to tune in. You can catch Acoustic Tuesday every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And of course, for your Acoustic Tuesday fix in between Tuesdays, please visit acousticlife.tv. There is much guitar geekiness there for you to explore. So thank you again, and I cannot wait to see you next Tuesday on Acoustic Tuesday. And remember, Guitar Geeks Unite. Cheers.